I'm going to show you guys how you could take an NBA player prop at minus 240 and get it at almost even money live. Let's get into exactly how you're going to be able to change an NBA player prop that could start at minus 240, minus 250, minus 260 and get them almost even money. First step, we got to find the player prop. So the best way to be able to find an NBA player prop is to be able to go to a website called Fantasy Pros. So if you go to Fantasy Pros and you look under the DFS section, you'll see defense versus position. So under defense versus position, what you want to do is you want to be able to filter that to the teams that are giving up the most fantasy points per position. Once you do that, you should have a list of point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center, and all showing the top teams that give up the most points to that position. So what you do with that, now you would go and you would correlate exactly the starting lineups to the top 5 defenses that give up the most fantasy points per position and compare them. And when you see a matchup with a star player, you know what I'm talking about, Steph Curry, Giannis, LeBron, Anthony Davis, Lillard, any of those type of guys, you see mismatches in those time frames with the worst defenses that are guarding that position fantasy wise. This is where you can exploit that matchup. Now, the points, rebounds, assist prop is what you probably will be focusing on mostly. The reasoning behind that is because we're looking at fantasy points. We're correlating fantasy points to real life points, rebounds, assists. If you're just doing points and you're just betting points, the fantasy points don't really come into play as much because it's combining all of those together. Now, being able to alternate these totals and to be able to find the averages and get under that, you're putting yourself at a higher probability that play is going to win. How you're doing that is, let's say for example, Damian Lillard, he averages 34.5 points, rebounds, assists on the season. He has a good matchup. His line is like 38.5 points, rebounds, assists. You'll probably see 3 or 4 points above their average. When you alternate that line and buy it back down, now you're putting it back to where his average is at, and he's in a good matchup that he's going to at least get his average. So you're setting yourself up on a higher probability side. Now, the thing is when it comes down to odds, the odds are going to be a bit high when you are adjusting it that much. So if you adjust his points, rebounds, assist totals back down to, let's say 34.5 his average, you'll probably get it around minus 240, minus 250 in that range. Sometimes it'll be less. So here's the thing. A lot of people don't like betting those higher odds, which I understand. And the biggest reason for not wanting to bet the higher odds is your unit size may not be the highest. And there's nothing wrong with that. If your unit size is $10, $20, $30, here's the thing. If you're betting a minus 240, you're not really making too much when you win that bet. So you don't feel like you're getting anywhere. Compared to if somebody's betting a unit size of 500 or 1,000, if you're winning $300, $400, $500 profit, it's a good day. People are satisfied with that. So when you're not really into betting higher odds, this is what you can do. Now, this is risky because you might not get the opportunity. And what you do is you'll go to live betting on whatever sportsbook that you're on that allows live betting on points, rebounds, and assists. Let's go back to the Damian Lillard example. Let's say his over-under, it's 34.5. So it was minus 250. You didn't want to pay minus 250. So what you do is you would wait as soon as the game tips off and you'd follow exactly what happens. Ideally, in the first 3 to 4 minutes, he doesn't absolutely go bonkers and start scoring right out the gate and getting assists and getting rebounds. That number could dive down. So your 34.5 that was minus 250 could now essentially be back down to minus 150, minus 140, minus 130. Depends on how he's doing in that first quarter. So if he comes out and he's on fire in the first quarter, you're not going to get that opportunity. The odds are going to get worse. They're going to be like minus 400 to get that 34.5. But if he comes out and is a little cold to start, now you have an opportunity to dive in live. The bet that was minus 250 in the beginning of the game, you can get it even money. And then some other times, if you get it within the first 3 minutes, 4 minutes of them not really doing too much, you can get minus 150, minus 140, minus 160. So my advice is if you are going to do this, the best range is going to be in that range of about that 3 to 4 minute mark. You really don't want to wait a whole first quarter because they really have to have a dud of a first quarter for you to be able to dive in on that. And most of the time, they're not going to have a whole dud of a first quarter. They just might struggle in the first 2, 3, 4 minutes. So take that into account. On contrary to what I'm saying, you never want to start watching a game like that and then if the odds get worse, bet them. So now what you would do is you would just skip the bet, move on to the next one, because there are going to be opportunities where you miss, where a player comes out the gate and then he comes out right on fire and then you missed your opportunity. That's the risk of this strategy. Sometimes you might not get that player, but sometimes he will come out a little flat and you'll be able to find that opportunity to get a better odd on that player's points, rebounds, assists, and then you can dive in on it. So that is just one way of improving your odds in NBA player props to be able to set yourself up for the highest probability of success. Now, if you guys want more strategies and how to learn how to do this at a high level, make sure you guys go down in the description and click the link. As always, guys, I'm Frank from Linemaker Sports. I will see you guys in the next video. Till then, I'm out.